Under the lights here at Bryant Park in Greensboro. The final few tickets to the Sweet 16 will be punched in the evening in North Carolina. We began the day with 32 teams still believing they could be the national champions. 13 have been eliminated. We're down to 19. We'll be 16 sweet by the end of the night. Pittsburgh, the 2 seed in this dance, and Monmouth, after their thrilling win on Thursday night, to cap off our triple header here in Greensboro. With Sari Rose, I'm Evan Lepler. And Sari, we've been excited to see this Pittsburgh team coached by Jay Vidovich, the former Wake Forest leader. And he knows what kind of challenge this is going to be against a Monmouth team that had a real emotional win without their head coach, Robert McCourt, home and COVID protocols. But Hugh McDonald led the Hawks to a win over Bowling Green on Thursday to get to this point.
Yeah, Coach Vidovich was very complimentary of the Monmouth Hawks and what they accomplished in upsetting not just Bowling Green, but also in their MAC Conference Finals. And so he knows that they are dangerous due to the fact that they are a blue-collar team with a tremendous amount of heart that are riding some intense emotions after the upset on Thursday night. And so he is not going to take them for granted.
He said he thinks Monmouth is a team that knows how to win. Hugh McDonald realized that they weren't at their best in the first half on Thursday against Bowling Green. They trailed 1-0 at that point, but a mighty strong second half, overcoming some of the emotions that led them astray in the first half, got them to this point, and here we go. Monmouth in the dark blue jerseys, Pittsburgh in the whites, and this should be an exciting match. Pittsburgh number 2 in the dance, but they got to deal with this guy. Julian Gomez was remarkable the other night for Monmouth. And then, they call it not a corner, but a goal kick. John Brady is the referee this evening. Nico Campazano in goal for the Panthers. Sean Murray, his counterpart, at the other end of the field. And Sari, Monmouth might not be here if not for 3 unreal saves that Murray made all in the final minute on Thursday night against the Falcons of Bowling Green.
Oh, just a fantastic effort. He had 6 saves on the match, and he had 3 saves in the final 39 seconds.
Monmouth coming out quickly. Griffin Tomas, the lone change in the starting lineup from Thursday, replacing Alex Hodge for Hugh McDonald and the Hawks.
And you want to keep your eye on for the Hawks, number 21, the redhead, Ben Zakowski. He had both assists on Thursday night, and he's a dynamic little player for the Hawks.
Stumbling, Belko Pekovic gives it away. One of the big questions coming into tonight will be about how the Hawks handle the emotions of the moment. Hugh McDonald said he wasn't pleased with how they did that in the first half, but they found something in the second half on Thursday, and we'll see if that can carry over.
Well, they definitely were fouling more than what Coach McCourt had wanted. He was watching on TV and said the one thing they didn't want to do is foul, and the one thing they did do was foul, and so he was glad they settled down. But Pitt has a number of dynamic players, and they are going to be pressed a lot more than they probably were in their first match on Thursday. And so the Panthers are going to attack that back line and try and pressure as much as they can.
Beautiful ball down the left flank. Alexander Dexter plays it back to Ordonez. I mean, this is kind of trademark Vidovich soccer, this quick passing as they turn it over right as we make the comment Walty lost the handle. And looking for Gomez on his foot at the edge of the box, a little touch back. Tell you, Monmouth is dangerous if you haven't seen him this year. This is Jensen, and he had his pocket picked by the good defense from Jasper Loffelson.
And I think that's the one thing that the back line of Pittsburgh has to be mindful of, is just not taking anything for granted.
It's obviously easier said than done. Oh, good move on the attack, stepping through. Akampeki earns the foul. Perhaps 35 yards out. Monmouth will have a long-range blast. And Zakowski will line up near the ball, along with Christopher Jensen. It's been all Campuzano in net this year for Pittsburgh. Starting his 17th straight game, 1.27 his goals against average. More importantly, he's 13-3.
And talk about bold.
Yeah.
He was quick off of his line in traffic. Little lucky there. We saw in one of the earlier matches, the New Hampshire goalkeeper, Robles, also a bit of a sniffer and got caught a couple of times coming out too high.
Tremendous hustle there. Earning the, well, conceding the throw-in, but deep in Pittsburgh territory. Panthers kind of jamming it up the line, but it'll be a Hawks throw now. Monmouth had won only one of its first 4 matches in the spring. They didn't play in the fall, but now have won 5 straight, including 3 in a row as the 6th seed in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference tournament. Taking down the 3 seed, the 2 seed, and the 1 seed. Quinnipiac in the final, but ahead Pittsburgh. Noel, ACC Offensive Player of the Year, unable to do any damage there.
And Valentino Noel is a quick player. He has 11 goals and 2 assists on the season, including 2 game winners. And he sits up top. They attack kind of in that 4-5-1, and so he's the lone forward sometimes.
Pittsburgh would have been the #1 seed in this tournament, but they lost to Clemson in the ACC automatic qualifier match. A 2-0 result. That was Pittsburgh's last game. Shots were dead even in that game, 11-all. And Pittsburgh won the previous 5 matches before that. 2 of those games went into double overtime. Has been a good day for the ACC in this tournament. Clemson coming from behind. They conceded an early goal against American, but a 2-1 win for the top-seeded Tigers. North Carolina escapes in penalty kicks against Charlotte. And Virginia Tech, as we saw here at Bryant Park this afternoon, they conceded a late goal, an equalizer. Oregon State forced overtime, but Jacob Labovitz's second goal of the game, both coming via the header, sending the Hokies to the Sweet 16. And now Pittsburgh and Wake Forest. Jay Vidovich's current and former schools playing in the 8 o'clock starts here in North Carolina. Been a fun week here at Bryant Park in Greensboro. This facility has been a magical spot to host early round action in both the women's and men's tournament. Of course, Greensboro known as Tournament Town, longtime home of great basketball moments, both in men's and women's hoops, ACC and national tournaments. But other sports have found homes here in Greensboro in the state of North Carolina as well.
We talk about this event. This is the 8th game, 4 men and 4 women's games on this stadium field at McPherson Stadium. Just a terrific effort by the grounds crew here to maintain it throughout this week.
And we should mention, while it was pretty darn toasty this afternoon, it has cooled off and is a really pleasant evening for soccer.
Not only has it cooled off, but the wind has completely died.
Yeah, it's tranquil right now.
Over the course of the week, we've had tremendous gusts of wind throughout the games. And right now, like you said, it is just a peaceful, beautiful soccer night.
You've known Jay Vidovich, Sari, a long time. He's pretty darn stoic on the sideline, standing up in front of the Pittsburgh bench, watching the back and forth. What are the things he's looking for early in the game? We see Loffelson try to cross it, and Monmouth gets it away.
Well, I think one of the things is he's a fantastic soccer brain. He likes his team
Loffelson takes the turnover, but can't do much with it, a goal kick.
He likes his team to play, I hate to say it, but it's pretty soccer, right? He wants to see build up. He wants to make sure, can his midfield get the ball? Can they find their forwards? And so he's looking for the build up. At the same time, he's looking for it to make sure that his team isn't taking for granted this Monmouth squad, and they are filling in those spaces and keeping an eye on Julian Gomez up top. And you can see Jackson Walty really dropping back onto Gomez into the back line of that Pittsburgh defense, even though Jackson Walty is kind of the number 6 for the Panthers.
Sarah Rose can tell us all about what it means to be Jersey tough. When we were chatting with Hugh McDonald on the phone yesterday, I thought his Jersey accent brought a little bit more of your Jersey accent that's waned during all your years down south. Brought it back to the surface a little bit. It's still there.
Well, and here we have Monmouth on a quick ball in.
Nice job defensively by Pittsburgh's Bryce Washington to keep Gomez away. But here's Zukowski. His cross deflected. Gonna find Jensen. Dribbles toward the corner, needs some support, and his pass intended for McGregor off the mark. There's Crivello over there. Washington feeling the pressure. Tomas. Crivello ahead to Pekovic with some room.
And I love that Monmouth is trying to high pressure, especially when the Panthers are in their back line. They just have to be mindful of the fact that if the Panthers can really release quickly, they're going to be in trouble.
Ordonez for Jacquesson. Berton chips it toward the 6. Sean Murray says hello to a Panther.
And not a bad idea to get in an early service, test the keeper, see their range.
Alexander Dexter colliding briefly with Murray, no harm done. Dexter wins that ball back across midfield. Now he's taken off, and here comes Pitt. Explosive offense throughout the season for the Panthers. Jacquesson dribbling through the crowd. Berton Jacquesson fires into the chest of Murray, and the Monmouth keeper makes the stop.
And Jacquesson, a great addition to the Panthers squad from France. He had 3 goals and 6 assists on the season and was the ACC Freshman of the Year. You talked about my accent. I always prided myself on not having an accent growing up. And my mom now says that when I'm tired, I get that y'all kind of southern drawl. And when I get angry, I get that Jersey kind of, what are you doing? What about those bag of bulls?
It's good that you can be so malleable, versatile in your dialects.
I love these individual 1v1 battles.
That's a beautiful throw-in, looking for Gomez, and now another throw will be even closer to the corner flag. Liam McGregor popped up quickly, saw Gomez making a run, and launched it in there. Not sure there's enough talk about the art of the quick throw-in. Maybe because it's not much of an art, I don't know.
Well, what's amazing is so many teams lose possession on their throw-ins.
That's right.
And you see here Rutgers with another, I was thinking about Bryce Washington, number 4.
Jersey.
I was thinking about Bryce Washington, number 4, the Turbo Sports had keyed him up, the center back, and he's a transfer from Rutgers. It was in my head. But Monmouth here with another corner kick.
West Long Branch, not Piscataway. In front, Campuzano got a fingertip on it to bat it backwards. And it'll be another corner on the other side. Pretty good ball there from Jensen.
And Monmouth's putting pressure on the keeper. Right before that ball served, Campuzano actually had hands in the back on the Monmouth player to make space for himself.
Zakowski sends it the other way, and Campuzano bats it again. This time it'll be a throw on the other side.
Another fantastic punch by Campuzano.
Pittsburgh has a lot of trust in its keeper. Davidovich saying it's like having an extra player on the field with how active he is in the run of play, how skilled he is with his feet, in addition to being an explosive and athletic keeper. Zakowski with a left foot. Campuzano up to the task. Looking for a target. And Monmouth doing a nice job. Nowhere to go. Forced to keep it in the box. Launching it down the sideline for Jacquesson. Really fine defensive work by Jensen. I'll tell you, Pittsburgh is in for a battle tonight. Monmouth has weathered the early storm, and if anything, they've been the aggressor the first 15 minutes. And here comes Gomez, clearly onside, going 1-on-3. Gomez blasts it, and Campuzano is there again.
Well, a great job by the Panthers defense. Washington and Ordonez to drop in and seal that off. There was actually a fantastic little run by number 22, Ben Zakowski, on the right side, but Gomez could not see him.
Oswald touches forward. Tomas. A little dipsy-do from Lindner, and back to Akampeki. Oswald launching. Gomez not going to get there. Campuzano will take care of it.
And you can hear Coach Hugh McDonald screaming at his forwards, Gomez and McGregor, to just drop.
Beautiful ball. Bertrand Jacquesson. A laser beam cross. Sizzling all the way across the sideline. 16 minutes gone. You know, Sari, if Monmouth wins this game, not only do they advance to the Sweet 16, but there's a good chance they get their head coach back. Robert McCourt would be able to fly on down to North Carolina and coach this team in their next game. It will be against the Knights of Central Florida, who got past James Madison, ending the Duke's undefeated season earlier today. Tomas, a little too far ahead for Gomez. Monmouth not being bashful about trying to get those balls through to Julian Gomez.
No, and I think the back line's done a good job of, one, tracking Gomez and making sure they're getting a body on him as he's looking to run, but two, also denying that early ball into feet.
Hugh McDonald and Robert McCourt, such close friends, have worked together, have known each other literally since Hugh was a freshman in high school, Kearney, New Jersey. McDonald also has a newborn son at home, 1 month old. He wants to be here as long as he can, but it's also tough on his wife, Laura. Hugh told us to say that he says, sorry, Laura, and he'll buy you something nice as soon as he gets home.
Yeah, make sure you're taking note of that, Laura. We've called you the unsung hero of this match, or of this season.
Yeah. Life with a newborn is not easy.
And you see the Panthers are settling in, knocking the ball around, trying to see if they can unbalance the Hawks and get the ball in.
Making a move on the dribble. Some fine work, but now Monmouth the other way. Tomas met by Loffelson. Nice job keeping it in bounds by Walty, but again, McGregor. Monmouth is hanging in there with Pittsburgh's style of play right now.
Yeah, for sure. I think they've gotten some possession on their own, and when the Panthers have been able to knock it around, they've really tried to keep them confined to one space. It's these individual efforts.
Mirkovic from long range pulled it.
It's these individual efforts where players are breaking the lines on the dribble that are causing the most trouble for Monmouth.
Thursday night was Monmouth's first ever NCAA tournament men's soccer win in regulation. Had a couple results where they advanced in PKs, most recently in 2011. And we nearly required overtime, if not for Murray's heroics in the final minute. What a game for Julian Gomez the other night. Just a tremendous all-around match. Gomez, the equalizer early in the second half, and then Jonas Lindner, first of the year. Just about eight minutes to go. With the trains going by just across the street, Pittsburgh again unable to connect.
Great step there by Luke Macbeth.
Mirkovic. To Loffelson. Jasper, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Leading the ACC in assists, and the offsides flag does fly. Right there on Ordonez.
Well, we see the Panthers are getting possession. They're knocking the ball around. The Hawks are okay with them knocking the ball around the back line. They're just trying to stay as compact as they can and deny those entry passes in and really make sure they're as organized as possible and finding those marks defensively.
Valentin Noel, the Panther, offside there. 21st minute, still scoreless. If anything, Monmouth has had a couple chances, certainly more corners.
Jakobsen just a little too much on that. I think he was hoping he could get the run in from Loffelson.
In regards to the saves that Sean Murray made late on Thursday, Hugh McDonald basically said that's what we've come to expect. Just a big game guy, Scotch Plains kid, grew up in a successful program, kind of makes him instinctually believe he belongs in those types of moments. Certainly was the case on Thursday night.
Well, and I think we've talked about this before. You know, the best goalkeepers are the ones that make those huge saves to keep you in it. You might not see too much from them all game long, but they've got to be on their toes. And, you know, it's something that was the case with Fakuse from Kentucky. Had to make a big save early on, and that was probably the difference in that flow of that game.
You know, technically, we've seen two underdogs prevail here in Greensboro today. Kentucky over UNH and Virginia Tech over Oregon State. Certainly neither the caliber of underdog that Monmouth is in this matchup, but again, you never know. Throwing his body into the contact, Lindner.
You know, it's been interesting after all of the fouls that we saw Monmouth have against Bowling Green State. This game has been pretty even-keeled, not a ton of fouls. There were 30 fouls in the Oregon State-Virginia Tech match. Once again, as I say that, the referee calls it foul.
Yeah, Jensen kind of backpedaled into Jakobsen. Here's Dexter.
Great weight on that ball.
Trapped it well, puts it in front, and just one missed touch by Pekovic. A better first touch there, and Pittsburgh might have been on the board.
And once again, Macbeth in there just to break up that play, but a fantastic ball in. And then Dexter, a great service, wide open, but closed down very quickly by Macbeth.
Ball slipped as he threw it in. It comes right back to him fortuitously, and then he gives it away. Mirkovic back for Loffelson. Ordonez to Washington. Valentin Noel has scored.
Such a fantastic run by number 8, Valentin Noel. We talked about how he loves to get in behind, and we see there a nice service, and he just makes a fantastic run and buries it.
Going over the top to the ACC Offensive Player of the Year. And Noel with his 12th goal of the season. Pittsburgh takes a 1-0 lead in the 25th minute.
And we've seen Pittsburgh once again. Fantastic effort there. Akampike just not able to do anything to prevent that. A little miscommunication, I think, in the back line, and not aware of Valentin Noel making that run.
We'll see if Monmouth can maintain the energy. I mean, they've played a really solid 24, 25 minutes, and yet they concede the goal. It happened fast. Noel with a really strong finish. Just one little quick defensive lapse. And Monmouth can't let the wind come out of their sails. Well, if they do, this could be 4-0 really fast.
Yeah, and a fun fact that we got from the Panthers sports information staff member Nick McDonald is the fact that the Panthers are 13-0 when they have scored first. They are 0-3 when they have not.
Fun fact for the Panther fans.
Not so fun if you're a Hawk fan.
They're going to call the foul on Macbeth.
And you see number 5, Arturo Ordonez, the sophomore. He has 3 goals and 2 assists, and he's going to step up.
Actually ran right by the ball.
He ran right by the ball.
Now he's situating himself in front of Sean Murray.
Well, they'll be looking for him.
Remember, Monmouth was down on Thursday, and they're here. So it's certainly not impervious to a deficit.
And you see Bertan Yakison on that ball with Petkovic.
Pekovic left foots it forward. Long range blast. And Crivello pulled it wide.
Goalkeeper, Monmouth.
What a season Valentin Noel has had. Following up last year's campaign when he scored 3 goals, earned all ACC freshman honors, taking it to a new level, but a miss hit there by Campazano. Zakowski intercepts, and he goes down, and we play on. Jakison denied the initial turn, but then he'll take it past Jensen with some steam. Jakison has Loffelson with him on the right. Pulls it back to the left and all the way to Ordonez. I like how Pittsburgh's 4 defensemen are numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. But number 3 is the left back. Then it goes 4, 5 across, and then number 2. So if Loffelson was in the left and they all slid over a spot, it'd be perfectly numerical.
Well, once again, talking about numbers, you had the question in an earlier broadcast. Your right back is usually your 2. Your left back is usually your 3. your right center back is actually usually your 4, and your left center back is usually your 5. So at some point during the year, Ordonez and Washington switched. And you see the game sort of settling down. You know, once again, Monmouth was coming out high pressing, and now they're comfortable with the Panthers knocking it around. They're just going to try and win that entry ball, which we saw Jensen do right there. What's going to be important is not just that first ball in, but also that second ball. Can they win that as well?
By the way, Sarah, Jay Vidovich's old team, Wake Forest, has a 1-0 lead on Coastal Carolina. 25th minute in Winston-Salem.
And we thought Coastal might be a pretty difficult matchup, not necessarily a gimme, despite the fact that Wake was one of those teams that had the first round bye.
Wake, the 5th overall seed.
And Bobby Moose, a longtime assistant of Jay Vidovich, so both the Panthers and the Deacons have a similar style. They like to possess, they like to knock the ball around, they're very dangerous getting the ball wide and getting services in, but tons of runs from the midfield. And we just saw Jackson Walty trying to get into the attack and make a run behind the line, and he's usually sitting in as that 6th central defender. Center mid, sorry. Defensive center mid.
Dexter. And he was out of bounds. So it'll be a goal kick. Under 16 minutes to play in the half. Valentin Noel with the score.
And a good look there at the big Monmouth goalkeeper, Sean Murray. And here the Panthers are pressing, and he's screaming, can they press together, right? If their front players are going to press, then they need the midfield and the defense to move with it so they don't create pockets for the Hawks to play into.
Not sure Monmouth has been able to get Julian Gomez a touch since the goal. Really one of the keys to keep him involved, keep him pressuring Pittsburgh.
Well, and I'd like to see Zakowski on the ball as much as possible. I think, you know, how they do is going to be a contingent on, you know, are they able to find him? Once again, you're talking about Gomez and Linder with the goals, but Zakowski was the assist on both of them.
Looking for Gomez. Campuzano, though, takes charge.
And I'm not sure if Bryce Washington just had confidence in Campuzano, but he definitely didn't look like he saw Gomez making that run between him and Crivello.
Obviously, this Pittsburgh program has undergone a massive transformation. Made the NCAA tournament last year for the first time since 1965.
Yeah,
beat Lehigh in the first round 2-0. It was the Panthers' first tournament win in the history of the program. They were humbled certainly by Georgetown, the 2nd overall seed in the 2nd round, a 5-0 butt whipping, but Pittsburgh made their presence felt. They arrived this year as the number 2 seed in the tournament, and of course it's not all that long ago that Pittsburgh went winless in the ACC on the regular.
Well, I think prior to Jay Vidovich coming in 5 years ago, they had not won in the ACC. Pitt being a team that was originally in the Big East, and then when all the conferences switched over, joined the ACC. But a lot of lean years for the Pittsburgh Panthers prior to the arrival of Jay Vidovich and his staff.
It's been a remarkable transformation.
Well, and I mean, I hate to say it, but that's what Jay does, right? Everybody talks about the success of Wake Forest, but Jay took over prior to the first match of the season, which was my freshman year on the women's side. You know, Walt Chisowitz, a fantastic coach, has done amazing things for U.S. soccer, but those were some also, I'd say, lean times for the Demon Deacons. And Jay came in, and it took him a little bit, but he was able to turn it around.
Well, and he took over in the face of tragedy when Walt Chisowich
Exactly.
suddenly, unexpectedly passed away, and Jay became the interim coach. And then late November, or midway through November, before the season was over, then Wake's athletic director Ron Wellman said he was the guy going forward. Over the bar.
But it did. It took him, he had 21 seasons there, but it was the 13 of the last 14 seasons that they were in the NCAAs. And it took a little bit of time to turn that team around, but he did. And we see the continued success of his former assistant, Bobby Muse, now the head coach at Wake Forest.
And it was the guy that hired Jay as the full-time head coach at Wake, Ron Wellman, who heartily recommended him to Randy Barnes at Pittsburgh. When that Pitt job opened back up, Ron Wellman had, Scott Barnes, excuse me. He had served with Scott as that ball served in. Gomez couldn't get the touch. Ron Wellman basically told his friend who he had served with on the NCAA men's basketball selection committee, look, if you have a chance to hire Jay, stop your search right now. And Barnes said he felt he had to sell Pittsburgh to Vidovich more than Vidovich, when he was interviewing for the job, had to sell himself for the job.
Oh, for sure.
It's a great fit, though.
And I think, we've seen the investment on the Pittsburgh Panthers athletic department staff side.
Speaking of Wake, 2-0 Deacons over Coastal.
But they also brought in Randy Waldron on the women's side, who also had success winning a national championship at Notre Dame and then being with the Houston Dash. And so they got two coaches who had tremendous success at the collegiate level, went out to the professional level, and then wanted to come back and build something. And I think the Pittsburgh Panthers on the women's side have also seen that with their first top 25 ranking this past year as well.
Vidovich very complimentary of his new boss, Heather Like. That ball over the bar. Trivia question for you, Sari.
Yes.
Which ACC school led the league in most players drafted this year in the NFL draft?
In the NFL draft?
In the NFL draft.
I don't care about the NFL.
I know you don't. but the point is that you would expect maybe Clemson or Miami or whatever. Pittsburgh, not including Notre Dame, led all full-time ACC schools in the number of players drafted. So that's a pretty impressive thing for Pat Narduzzi's football program, even if Sari doesn't care too much about that.
I was waiting for the stat about number of players lost and was going to talk about the number of players that Bobby Muse lost at Wake Forest. We talk about the dual season and how it's been something that Division I coaches have been pushing for a number of years, and I think everybody...
Opportunity here for Loffels, and he's onside. Got bodies in front. Ricochets off the defender, Oswald.
But once again, all coaches across the men and women have actually been quite happy with the two seasons and what it means for the players, despite losing players to graduations and drafts, etc. Those are things that Jay Vidovich said we could figure out. We could talk to the MLS. We could figure that out.
It'll be interesting to see how things unfold. Another fast cross, and Akampeki kind of drilled on the side as he got the header off. Free kick here for the Hawks. Gives Pittsburgh a chance to realign defensively. Back to Akampeki. And a turnover. And then he gives it right back. Unable to maintain it was Dexter.
And once again, here's the Panthers pressing.
Murray left foots it. Somehow finds Jensen's head. Monmouth controls and then earns the call. Walty whistled for the foul. Final 9+ minutes of this first half. Valentin Noel with his 12th goal of the season. 12 goals in 16 games for Noel. He's played in all but one for the Panthers this year. Pittsburgh going 9-1 in ACC regular season play. Loffelson taken down. Jensen continues on. That ball in front, dangerously. Corner kick coming, and Loffelson will get some attention from Brady, our referee.
And I think it was just as Tomas Griffin was turning, kind of hit Loffelson, but a fantastic serve in and caught Bryce Washington running back to goal, having to head it wide.
Loffelson still down, not too far from Pittsburgh's bench. Looks like he was grabbing his ankle, but we were too late. It was Tomas who put the dangerous cross in front.
I think he got clipped somewhere in the neck or something.
Loffelson just now rising to his feet.
I think he got a little bit of a chop into the neck and just kind of lost his breath there.
See how long he stays on the bench. I imagine it won't be too long.
And you see the height difference a little bit there with Bryce Washington and number 21, Philip Mirkovic.
Monmouth in search of the equalizer. Late stages first half. Chipping it back in. A really good ball and a missed opportunity for Jonas Lindner. Just grazed the top of his head. He was in a brilliant position to redirect that one home. It was Nick Rogers, beg your pardon, in off the bench for Hugh McDonald and the Hawks.
And here come the Panthers, 21 wide open on the right side.
Great dribbling by Pekovic. He goes down. And just outside the box, a free kick from about 20 yards out for Pitt. Take a look.
Oswald trying to get down nice and low. Doesn't get his feet moving, though, and just puts his long leg out there to break it up.
As you could ever imagine. Pekovic and Mirkovic hovering around the ball. 4 Hawks on the wall. Clock continues to run, closing in on 7 minutes to go. Brady with a message that made Noel chuckle. That ball saved by Murray. Heck of a bending shot from Pekovic.
And a great effort by Sean Murray. You know, when you set the wall up, you cheat to the side opposite of where that wall is because you're hoping the wall will stop it, but it was bent around, and Murray does a good job to get across his goal and make that initial save.
Header is in. 2-0 Pittsburgh. Going up high to send it home. Bryce Washington delivered.
And that's Washington's 4th goal on the year. We talked about his size, great big body, fantastic target, and he puts in that header to put the Panthers up 2-0 over the Hawks.
Feels like things have gotten away from Monmouth just a little bit. Good ball, and Washington directing it beautifully into that back corner. Here comes Pittsburgh again. Are the floodgates about to open?
And you see number 15 for the Panthers just streaking forward. Luke Mort getting him sub in.
Loffelson settles, puts it in front. You can just tell Pittsburgh's a little faster at every loose ball right now. They are going to get the foul called, though, on Ordonez.
And once again, Monmouth has come out and put fantastic pressure on the Panthers. They've been dangerous at times. As this game goes on, we've got to remember that they played a brutal match on Thursday and also only had 4 subs into the match on Thursday as well. So we'll see the heart and grit of this Monmouth Hawks squad as this game continues.
Midway through this half series, we were scoreless, but in the last 15 minutes, Pittsburgh has seized control. Akinpeki touches it forward. Pittsburgh is going to get the call. Hugh McDonald wasn't thrilled by that decision by John Brady. Off the mark, looking to squeeze that one through. Luke Mort in the game for Pittsburgh. Dexter showing the speed on the flank. Keeps it in, tried to squirt it through the defender. It'll be a corner.
And they're going to send Washington and Ordonez up in for this corner as well, and dropping off is Loffelson and Mirkovic.
Mirkovic tees this one up. Gets it over Zakowski, but not Akinpeki. Gomez had no support. Noel takes it away. So in the 3 games going on in the night session across North Carolina, Pittsburgh leading 2-0, Wake Forest leading 2-0 over Coastal. Air Force and Seton Hall are scoreless. Final minute of the first half. Akinpeki lets it roll across the sideline.
Luke Mort, little annoyed by that.
Yeah.
Sebastian Rodriguez, the transfer from Virginia Tech, coming in for the Hawks for number 19, Julian Gomez. Rodriguez had 3 shots on goal versus Bowling Green.
He gave him a spark off the bench for sure.
Yeah, he's got 2 goals on the season, but definitely can run and pressure that back line and create some chances for the Hawks.
Nice move by Ordonez, and a beautiful touch forward by Pittsburgh off the bench. There's Mort. Pekovic, oh, he hit the bar.
And just a fantastic bomb from Pekovic. I would say it was a fortuitous touch by Mort on the outside. I'm not sure how intentional that was and how much it was luck, but a great movement by the Panthers. And like I said, we've seen where they're just trying to knock the ball around and then find those openings and unbalance the defense.
That was a firecracker from Pekovic. A little dangerous here. Zakowski nearby for Pittsburgh, but Washington takes charge. Now in the final minute of the half. Conceding the throw. An impressive 45 minutes, or 44 minutes and 20 seconds from Pittsburgh. They weathered the Norley storm. Monmouth came out firing, and then the Panthers kind of settled in, started doing their thing, creating more and more chances, and obviously we know the Panthers have several excellent finishers on their team, both in the ground and in the air.
Well, and I think we've seen the Panthers be able to not only knock the ball around, find somebody in the midfield, and then work off of each other to combine and get forward, but also they're not afraid to send that long ball and get Dexter, Yakusin into the attack as well.
That'll do it for the first half. In the final game of our triple header in the round of 32 at Bryant Park on this first Sunday in May. And Pittsburgh with a 2-0 lead. Jay Vidovic will talk with Pekovic along with the rest of his team. Monmouth will regroup. See if the Hawks have anything left in the tank to make this interesting in the second 45. But after one half of play, it's Pittsburgh, the 2 seed, leading 2-0. Moments away from the start of the second half here in Greensboro, with Pittsburgh leading Monmouth 2-0. The Panthers, the 2 seed in this tournament, trying to advance to the Sweet 16, where they would play the Knights of Central Florida out of the American Conference. UCF winning today over James Madison. Evan Lepler, Sari Rose, great to be with you. And look, Pittsburgh weathered the early storm. They were the better team, no question, late in the half. What do you expect in the second 45, Sari?
Well, I think once again we're going to see a ton of intensity early on from Monmouth. They're going to come out and they're going to be battling, but I do think that we're going to see Pittsburgh really looking. We see this entry pass here, and I think they're going to look to do that. I think they're going to try and knock the ball around. Can they get the ball into the midfield, and from that either change the point of attack or see some combinations between their center midfielders and the players up top?
Officially, shots were 8-3 in the first half in Pitt's favor. There were 10 combined fouls, 6 on Monmouth, 4 on Pitt. For the Hawk side of things, what do you think Hugh McDonald and Monmouth was stressing at halftime?
Well, I think once again, we saw them trying to press and really trying to put the pressure onto the back line. And then I think the other part of that is when they're not pressing and they're just letting the Panthers knock the ball around, they have to be very, very organized and look to see if they can't make sure that they can deny that entry pass. So I think they're looking for organization and intensity.
Unable to settle it there. Ordonez and the 2 center backs who would push their way up will retreat. Noel and Washington, the goal scorers for Jay Vidovich's squad. Jay, the 3rd head coach in Pitt men's soccer history, hired December 2015 after 21 years at Wake Forest. And then 1 season in the professional ranks, which he said, quote, "It was either the best, worst year of my life or the worst, best year of my life." Became pretty clear pretty quickly that it wasn't for him, and the Pittsburgh spot opened up, and I'm not sure anyone could have imagined it going this well. I think people thought it would go well, but this well, this soon.
And you see, that the caliber of player that he's bringing in and the ability to bring in players from all around the world. We talked about, the number of international players that Pitt has. They have 17 of 28 players. But I think we see the style that he likes to play. They're very much like Bobby Muse's Wake Forest team. You're going to see the combinations between the center midfields. They're going to spring players into the attack, get in behind lines.
Jay grew up for part of his childhood in Brazil, lived in Sao Paulo from 1970 to 1974. He was there when Brazil won the World Cup. Talk about being in a place at the right time to further develop your love of the game. Also spent part of his childhood in Detroit.
Very different from Brazil.
Yeah, that's fair to say. You ever been to Brazil?
I have not.
Referee stops the clock, but not for a card, just a quick word with Luke Macbeth.
We talked about the recruiting of players to Pitt. And in addition to the international players that he also has 4 players international as well from Montverde Academy down in Orlando, which is kind of like a soccer IMG. It's where Bruno Lapa from Wake Forest was also from. They're churning out some of the top players around the collegiate level. all 4 Montverde players, international players.
What do you remember, Sari? I mean, you said you were a freshman when Walt Chisowich passed away at Wake Forest and Jay took over. What do you remember about that men's soccer season, and what were your first impressions of the young assistant who took over at Wake Forest in the face of a tragedy?
Well, actually, to be fair, we all thought it was really cool that he was from Brazil, and we're like, oh, that's why he's such a great soccer mind, because he lived in Brazil. And at that time, like, that's our understanding of soccer was if you had any connection with Brazil,
Right.
you must be a brilliant soccer mind. But yeah, you know, to be fair, I think
They had just won the '94 World Cup at the time, right?
yeah. And you know, we didn't know him as well. The interesting kind of fun fact that we keep throwing out is, and here's an opportunity for the Panthers that's broken up by Oswald.
Curious where you were going with that.
Well, you know, the women's team started in 1994, so all during the spring of, 1994, before the season started, it was the Wake men's assistants that were recruiting the women for the women's team. So Jay was sort of the top assistant, but at the time, like, the goalkeeper coach was Kevin, and I'm forgetting it, Johnson, and his brother was CJ, Johnson, the Johnson brothers. And so I can remember being at, like, WAGS, and it was WAGS, Washington Area Girls Soccer Tournament, which was one of the major tournaments back at the time. And it was the men's coaches
Maybe
that
all the
actually were
viewers knew what you
recruiting
were
us.
talking about, but I wasn't sure.
But yeah, so it was interesting that we always talked about, how the men's staff actually recruited the girls while they were building the women's staff, and it was Walt Chisowich who really helped to create the team and bring it to Wake Forest. And we didn't know Jay that well. Once again, Walt passed away right before our first match, and we all wore a black patch the entire season. But I think it was traumatic.
Pekovic's corner, loose in front, and that's in. It's 3-0. Kind of an excuse-me score, but Pittsburgh has delivered what may be the knockout blow 6 minutes into the second half.
And that appears to be Dexter's 6th goal on the season. A little bit of a melee in front of the Hawks' goal. And you see a nice service in. That's Ordonez kind of on it, and then it looks like Dexter was able to get his foot on off of the Ordonez header.
Washington right there, too. We'll count it for Dexter.
Goal for Pittsburgh, number 13, Alexander Dexter.
And this is where the referee wants to make sure things don't get overly chippy.
And they're going to stop the clock on that and also call in the athletic trainer. And you see a good battle here. Gets tangled up, and
Ooh.
That would be
Shot to the groin.
Petkovic, which, to be fair, I'm not sure.
Fans, merchandise is not available at today's event. For great championship gear and memorabilia, shop online at event1teamstore.com.
Jonas Linder's back on his feet. Appears to be all right. Akampecky. Oh, just flying in there. Dexter. I would not want to get into a foot race with that guy.
No.
Or any of these guys for that matter, but especially Dexter. Crafty move right there by Robin Oswald.
Oh. Valentino was wide open at the top of the box. And a good recovery by the Monmouth player to cut him out of the play there. That's Jensen again.
If Pittsburgh hangs on, they'll play on Thursday against Central Florida for the right to get to the quarterfinals, which would be the following Monday, 8 days from now, the 10th. Semifinals scheduled for that Friday, May 14th, and the championship game set for Monday, May 17th. Still feels strange to say the May schedule for the NCAA soccer tournament, but a lot of coaches would prefer it be this way. Going to be an interesting thing to keep your ears on. Try to hear what the story's going to be going forward. When we talked to Jay Vidovich yesterday, it was like, hey, how are you? How's it going? It's been great, you know, opportunity to play, super grateful. And challenging Campuzano. And we'll stop the clock. And they're going to call in the trainer and some extracurriculars.
Washington exchanging words there with number 2, Liam McGregor.
NCAA Team Works is a community-based program driven by the NCAA. Members
John Brady, our referee, has stopped the clock for a smorgasbord of talking tos tonight.
Yep. Well, we saw earlier cards sort of flying in some of the earlier matches, and here there's been a stern non-mask talking to on a number of instances.
Great touch. All the way back to Murray. More physical play.
Donio's just over the top of Tomas Griffin.
Walloped him. Dexter kept it in.
Substitution for Pittsburgh.
Here comes Matt Bailey into the game.
For number 13, Alexander Dexter.
Senior from Maryland. Sorry, quick update from elsewhere. While Pittsburgh scored the third goal of the game here, Coastal Carolina got on the board early in the second half to get within 1 against Wake, and then very shortly thereafter, Wake Forest responded. The Deacons now lead 3-1 early in the second half.
And the other team from New Jersey, Seton Hall, is in a deadlock with Air Force in about the 59th minute of the match. First time that Air Force has won the Seton Hall has won the conference in years. So fans of soccer across New Jersey ecstatic with their local teams.
When I say Jersey soccer, what is like the first thing that comes to mind in terms of style, history, etc.
Well, I mean, when you say Jersey soccer now, one of the first things you think about is probably Carly Lloyd on the women's side, Tobin Heath, Heather O'Reilly.
Right.
You know, just a tremendous female players have come out of New Jersey. And then on the men's side, you know, I'm of the era where it was like the John Harks and the Tony Miolas. And
Pittsburgh trying to make it 4-0. And that is an own goal.
And that's off of number 5, George Akampike. But that's a fantastic heads-up play by the Panthers. I mean, one of the things you like to do is, can you get an early service in and catch the defenders running back towards their goals, because you're hoping that maybe it'll hit off one of them while they're running towards their goal, and this exact thing will happen. And you see nice little build-up between the midfielders. That ball gets poked wide, and now it's this early service at the top of the box across the goal, and Akampike puts it into his own net. And we see the Pittsburgh Panthers up 4-0 now on your Monmouth Hawks.
You don't give Bertrand Jacquesin the credit for the goal there?
Well, he gets the credit for the goal, but it's an own goal. But I mean, I can remember at Charlotte, one of the things we emphasized was the idea of choosing your service. Do you get on end line and play it back, or do you're at the top of the 18, can you serve it early while everybody's running towards the goal in the hopes that it will knock off of somebody and either get an own goal or a corner kick off of it or something like that. So a fantastic heads-up play by the Panthers to serve that in early.
So up 4-0. Davidovich and the Panthers have to be feeling pretty comfortable right now.
Well, but I don't think we're going to see Monmouth give up. I think, you know, they pride themselves on that Jersey mentality. They're blue collar. They're going to want to continue to battle and put a little chink in the Panthers' armor and maybe see if they can't get in a goal just to be pests.
Central Florida awaiting in the next round a 2-1 winner over James Madison today in Wilson, North Carolina. UCF 9-3-1 on the season. That had been all conference games until today. American Athletic Conference champions with a win over Tulsa in the finals there.
And you just see the precision with which these teams are able to strike a ball. I mean, Philip Mirkovic just sending a 45-yard ball onto somebody's foot. You know, it's that caliber of player that I think makes the college game so exciting, because sometimes you're watching these teams and you could be at an MLS match seeing equivalent talent as well.
Another nice touch. Get out of the way, Brady. And Walty shaken up as he collided with McGregor. And McGregor's going to get a yellow card here. Did you see anything malicious?
No, it just
looked like they bumped into each other.
Yeah. Maybe there was something after the bump.
Goal kick or corner kick? Took a long time to signal. It'll be a goal kick, and now we're going to stop the clock again.
Substitutions for Monmouth, number 25. Nick Rogers. For number 10, Griffin Tomas.
Official having a little bit of technical difficulty.
Might be. Grabbing his arm, adjusting something.
All of the officials are mic'd up so they can actually communicate with each other. And I'm not sure if he is actually having a little bit of
rewiring over there.
Yeah, and he's actually going to have to come to the side. You can see also the fourth official coming out has the same arm. It's like the Vecco official transmitters.
How did soccer officials communicate before this technology? Hey, you, what you got? Whose ball?
Pretty much.
Monmouth, they certainly would love to get on the board.
And that play broken up by Washington.
Substitution for Monmouth, number 26, Declan Stravic. For number 2, Liam McGregor.
Declan Stravic, number 26, giving Liam McGregor a bit of a breather. McStravic is now appearing in his 7th match of the season, having only started one. Give him a little bit of energy off the bench for sure.
Pecky. Nice ball. Unable to keep it alive.
Just overhit it a little bit. We've seen that a bunch. Almost they get anxious when they see that opening, and so they've just put a little too much on it. Great heads-up play there by the Hawks, but back in the Panthers' hands, and now back in the Hawks' feet.
Free kick for Monmouth. Strong move.
All that effort, and then you see just like an errant pass.
And this physicality is getting a little out of hand right now. Body's just throwing around, and not necessarily malicious, but I think Brady has to do something to dial this back, as each team may lose a guy here as they collide in a scary, scary crash.
And that's Jonas Linder, number 20, down for the Hawks. And it was number 20 on Pitt, the substitute, Matt Bailey, that was also down.
Help us in creating a safe environment for everyone by wearing your mask, practicing social distancing, and remaining in your assigned seat location. Your cooperation is greatly appreciated.
Going to be interesting. 29 minutes left. Both teams will keep fighting. It would be mighty surprising if Monmouth made this a competitive game in that stretch. So it's about playing hard, but playing fair and playing safe for all involved.
And he is definitely, I think he was shooken up, but now also limping off. And you hate to see that. Jonas Linder had the goal, the game-winning goal for the Hawks versus Bowling Green on Thursday. And now another opportunity on a set piece here for the Monmouth Hawks.
Looks like Jensen's going to take it. Alex Hodge gets a little instruction from Hugh McDonald, the assistant coach, filling in for Robert McCourt, who doesn't look like he's going to get a trip to North Carolina, unfortunately. Out COVID protocols. Just a bummer. Like it was a bummer for New Hampshire today to have to play without 3 of their main guys against Kentucky out with COVID protocols. Nature of these times. It's still a dangerous place, folks. Pittsburgh clears it. Panthers with an opportunity to counter in a huge way. Nicely done by McStravick, getting it back to Murray. Sarah, we're talking about Seton Hall and their game against Air Force and how the Pirates are having their best season in a while. On October 8th, 2011, Pittsburgh beat Seton Hall 2-0. That was a Big East game. The Panthers did not win another conference game until September 29th, 2017. 2,183 days in between conference wins, a 2-1 victory over Syracuse. A couple weeks later, Pittsburgh knocked off a top 10 Notre Dame team. Finished 2-6 in the ACC that year, second season for Jay Vidovich. They had 2 draws in year 1, 2 wins in year 2, 2 wins in year 3, but beat a top 10 Virginia team in the tournament, the ACC tournament. Did he keep it in? No. It's a corner.
And I think Campuzano was trying to actually get the ball, and he got cut off by his defender who was trying to help him out. But you're mentioning that, and I just think about, like, Jay Vidovich is interviewing with Pitt, and they're throwing out. He knows how bad they've been, and yet he has the confidence to say, I can come here and turn this around.
Yeah.
I mean,
Campuzano bats it again. Yeah, takes a special type of confidence, even hubris to believe it, but here Pittsburgh is again.
And I don't think anybody doubted he would win. It was just a matter of when, and I think he's really, it was maybe 5 years into Wake that he started to have some success with getting to the NCAA tournament, and we've seen a quicker turnaround with Pitt.
But when you say you don't think anyone doubted that he would win, like, to win it, to be a 500 team in the ACC is a hard thing to do. There are top 25 teams in the country that can't finish above 500 in the ACC on a regular basis.
But he grew up in Brazil.
For 4 or 5 years, but no, that's what you believed as a freshman in college. It probably is still true.
But no, I mean, you look at the success he had at Wake and just the amount of players that came through and winning the national championship in 2007 and, just what he accomplished and knowing what he's capable of. I think, if Pitt was willing to make the investment, I think Jay's the guy that would be able to give them a quality return on that investment.
Left-footed cross, and Campuzano flies through. Interesting, the last time that Jay Vidovich won a national title, the only time Jay Vidovich won a national title, there was an important guy named Valentin on his team. Julian Valentin, defenseman, captain, who actually needed stitches after he took a cleat to the eye against Ohio State in the final. Crazy scar on his face during the tail end of that championship run in the aftermath.
There's like a fantastic photo of him just bleeding with the trophy.
Yeah. Battle wound for sure. And, Valentin Noel, obviously meaningless coincidence, but, maybe Julian Valentin and Valentin Noel could be the collective or the connective tissue at the same venue, remember, in Cary.
Yeah. Well, I think Jay talked about just the memories that he has coming back to North Carolina and the teams, and just everything is familiar.
First time he came back to Wake Forest, he said he wasn't looking forward to it. Quote, "I'm not really sure I know where the visitors' locker room is." All right, let's see if Monmouth can put something together here. They're starting to generate some steady chances. Bastian Hatcher.
Just a heavy touch, right? It's that heavy touch, the excitement of getting in, and then that heavy touch that we've seen, whether it's the touch on the player, too much weight on the ball. But how can you not be happy for the Monmouth Hawks? One, Hugh McDonald having to take over, and he said, it's not really something we talk about. I've been with Rob McCourt for so long, whether he's coaching, I'm coaching. I started as pretty much like a guy who ran out of eligibility and they made an assistant coach. But he's really developed under Coach Rob McCord, and he said they're not only a head coach and assistant, but good friends. And so I think he was so focused on just being proud of what the boys had done and looking forward to this game that he's like, it's not about me. And you got to love that mentality, and you got to appreciate the success. Like you said, they've turned this team around in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
And are building on that.
2018, they went winless in conference play. Here they are facing the number 2 team in the country in the tournament. Akinpeki with one heck of an effort there to prevent the free run in for Bailey.
Akinpeki was the MAC Defensive Player of the Year.
Let's see why. We should spell the MAC.
The MAC.
We had a Mid-American Conference Metro Atlantic showdown. I realize I inverted the 2 A's there. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
But
you're doing a fantastic job. Game 3.
Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Monmouth make a run. Despite how much I respect and like Jay Vidovich, it'd be fun if Monmouth made this interesting in the final quarter here. Let's go. Just not sure Ordonez, Washington, and Campethano are going to let that happen.
No, and they've done a good job of neutralizing Julian Gomez. He was one of their players to watch.
Pittsburgh this season suffered losses to Clemson in the ACC auto qualifier. Dropped a 3-0 result in Chapel Hill, a game that they certainly want back. And then the other loss was to Clemson in the finals of the fall ACC tournament. 2-1 result at Wake Med Soccer Park and Cary. Everything else for Pittsburgh has been a win.
I just think it's amazing when you're thinking about how dominant Pittsburgh is, just player for player. I mean, they swept the conference awards in the ACC. Offensive Player of the Year was Valentin Noel. Freshman Player of the Year was Bertrand Jackson. Defensive Player of the Year was Jasper. Lawfelson. We've had debate.
Yeah.
It's actually a Y in their pronunciation guide. And then Coach of the Year was Jay Vidovich. And so they swept the conference awards. They're number 2 overall seed in the country. And yet this is only the second time in 20-some-odd years they're in the NCAA tournament.
Today's going to be their second ever NCAA tournament victory in program history. And the program has been around since 1965 and before then.
Yeah. Literally the last 2 times they were in the NCAA tournament was 1962 and 1965. 54 years ago, they had their last tournament experience prior to the Jay Vidovich era.
I was checking your math in my head, but you got it right.
I paused on it. Been counting on my fingers here for the last 8 minutes, making sure I got that right.
Did you say 54 or 64?
It's 21. Oh, I was thinking it was 12. Yeah. So it was 60. It's a long day. I got my abacus out. It's been that long. I actually don't know what year it is.
You're not alone. In front, the rebound, and Pittsburgh attempting to make it 5-0. Not going to happen in that sequence.
McStravick with the back save there.
One thing that's really impressive about what Pittsburgh has done is they have played a lot of close games. And look, they've gone to overtime twice in the spring, 2 other times in the fall. And they scored the game winners in overtime in all 4 of those games.
Yeah. Just really
bodes well for this time of year. And by this time of year, I mean November, but you know what I mean.
Exactly. You've got to appreciate Bryce Washington and Arturo Ordonez. as the center backs. Really just fantastic in the air. Very composed.
We've seen some really good
Both
center
of
backs
them.
this week.
Yeah.
Slipping it through. 6. 5-0 Pittsburgh.
And that was the substitute, Rodrigo Almeida, the junior from Salvador, Brazil, via Montverde Academy.
'71st minute, Almeida. As the Panther onslaught continues.
And just a nice weighted ball. The Hawks were hoping that that was going to be an offside, but Almeida able to just finish it to put the Panthers up now 5-0 with just over 19 minutes left in this match.
First goal of the year for Almeida. He said from Salvador, the 4th largest city in Brazil. Can you name the 3 cities that are larger than Salvador?
Brasilia.
Brasilia is one, Sao Paulo is the other.
And Rio de Janeiro.
You know your Brazilian geography. I don't know about the tune over Rio, but I liked it.
Cheeky little move there by Almeida.
Well, certainly a different story from a year ago, Sari, where Pittsburgh
At a drumming.
Yeah, they got the job done in their first game of the tournament and then got walloped 5-0. Humbling result against Georgetown after beating Lehigh in round 1. Central Florida will certainly be a tougher test, a seasoned and experienced Knights team out of the American. But I like what we're seeing from this Pittsburgh team. They're deep, they're balanced, they've got finishers. Obviously strong in the back line and in goal with Campuzano. Winner of Pittsburgh UCF will take on the winner of Washington Missouri State. It's the bottom right quadrant of the bracket. Clemson escaped today after trailing 1-0. The top-seeded Tigers, they'll take on Marshall. And the winner of that will get the winner of Penn State and Georgetown in a Sweet 16 in an Elite 8 matchup. Nittany Lions Hoyas a Sweet 16 showdown as the adversaries brought together and experienced another John Brady lecture. If Wake Forest can hang on to beat Coastal, Wake will take on Kentucky. And the winner of that one will get the winner of UNC Stanford. How about Carolina and Stanford? 2 programs with a ton of soccer history meeting in the round of 16. And then also on the other side of the bracket, Indiana Marquette, a Sweet 16 matchup. And then Virginia Tech against the winner of that Air Force Seton Hall game that we've talked about. New Jersey well represented in the round of 32, but barring a Seton Hall win or a miraculous run from Monmouth, that Jersey tour in the tournament will end. Can Monmouth get on the board? Campuzano, full extension layout to knock it away and prevent the Hawks from striking.
What a fantastic save by the Spaniard in goal for the Panthers.
It's a heck of a play by Campuzano. He's from Cantabria in Spain. Same home region on the North Coast as the golfing great Seve Ballesteros, winner of 5 majors. These are the nuggets that you use in a 5-0 game.
I know like 3 golfers. One of which is Arnold Palmer because he had a dorm named after him at Wake Forest.
Who are the other 2?
Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And Jordan Spieth.
We'll give it to you.
But I know Siri Pak, who doesn't play anymore.
Well, Arnold Palmer
On
doesn't
the
play anymore either.
On the LPGA. I like to keep my analogies to soccer.
Pittsburgh did lose their leading scorer from a year ago, Edward Kiza, but they have not missed a beat. I asked Jay Vidovich about that. He said, we lost Marcus Tracy and Cody Arnaud and Zach Chalosky too, mentioning guys from his heyday at Wake Forest. They always did it as a team, and they always replenished. That's the case of the 2020 and 2021 Panthers.
Well, we talked to Rob McCord about just like the recruiting of international players, right? You know, he was able to turn the team around by bringing in players from Denmark, Norway, Ghana, Germany, you know, Scotland. And I think nowadays just the vast number of places that coaches can go to find players allows your mid-majors to have success. You look at UNH, who prior to losing 3 of their starters was 11th in the country and was still doing a fantastic job even though they were understaffed.
New Hampshire today losing for the first time in 525 days. Which is not quite as long as the Pittsburgh winless conference streak that lasted almost 6 years. And, well, a little yellow laundry just for good measure, issued to Arturo Ordonez.
Yellow card for Pitt, number 5, Arturo Ordonez.
I apologize. I don't have a famous golfer hailing from Ordonez's hometown in Spain, Salou. Maybe next time. Campuzano bats it again, and this is going to be a penalty. Yeah. Luke, Cito Sena took down the Monmouth player from behind. So just under 14 minutes to play. Monmouth with a great opportunity to get on the board here.
And it looks like they're going to have Gomez take it. Gomez has scored in each of the last 6 matches.
Opportunity to keep that streak going and break up Campuzano's shutout. Gomez delivers, and Monmouth is on the board. They're back within 4.
I'm not going to say I told you so, but I had a little halftime discussion with our NCAA rep here, and we were talking scores, and I said that I can assure you Monmouth will get at least 1 goal this half. It might be 4-1, it might be 5-1. It's just that Jersey work ethic, just seeing this team battle back. I think they weren't going to give up, and they weren't going to be happy unless they could just put a little wrinkle into the Pitt Panthers' success tonight.
Athletic play by Campuzano, going full extension. He guessed right, but it was a really fine shot for the Hawks. It's the time of game where Monmouth really shined on Thursday against Bowling Green. Meanwhile, Jackson Walty plays it back for Rafa Crivello. Washington to Ordonez. Kind of mesmerizing to watch these guys sprint with the same fierce intensity as we saw early in the game, even with the score being 5-1 in the now later stages of the second half.
Well, and I think that's just the mentality, right? You're going to continue to battle. You're going to continue to fight. You don't want to let down. You know, we talk about the idea of getting this far, and it's not just about getting this far. It's about, you know, leaving your mark. And I think Monmouth would love to be able to talk about how
Brady's pointed the wrong way here. It was clearly a handball on Monmouth, and I think he's going to go check with his AR. Pittsburgh's retreating. He stops the clock to go check with a sideline official, and he is going to give it to Monmouth. Maybe there was a foul before them, but it was pretty clearly a handball on the Hawks. Thankfully, not a call that will change anything in terms of meaningful nature of the rest of the game. Here's Almeida. Rodrigo gets the support with Bailey. And miscommunication there with Sena looking to get it back to Crivello. By the way, Air Force Seton Hall, really good game. 1-1 with just over 5 minutes to play in the second half. Been a fun day of soccer, watching and following. Hope you've enjoyed it too, whether you've been with us throughout the day or been bouncing around games or are just loyal to one of these two sides, the Panthers or the Hawks. Campuzano lost it and then recovered.
He's really done a terrific job of coming off of his line and kind of managing the six. A little hiccup there where he gave up a bit of a rebound, but
I mean this in the nicest way possible. He's like a frog, the way he bounces around in full extension.
We sometimes call that a spider monkey.
Yeah.
We'll sometimes talk about a goalkeeper acting very much like a spider monkey, just springing around.
Can Pittsburgh make it 6? Ooh. The shot from Bailey deflected by Rogers, and it'll be a corner kick. And it'll take us under 10 minutes to play. After everything we have seen throughout the day, Sari, and the ups and downs, all of the seeds look like they're going to escape unscathed if Seton Hall can get by Air Force. And of course, they only seeded the top 8. Clemson 1, Pittsburgh 2, Indiana needed penalty kicks to get by San Francisco Brooklyn, but the Hoosiers did survive. Stanford needed overtime against Omaha, but the Cardinal a 1-0 survivor. 5-seed Wake Forest up 3-1 on Coastal. Seton Hall's the 6th seed still battling. Washington the 7th seed, 2-0 win over the Lopes of Grand Canyon. And Georgetown, the 8th seed, took care of High Point 2-0.
Zach Haynes at High Point doing a terrific job there with associate head coach Sean Brennan and Josh Gillen.
Almeida had a brace on his mind.
I wasn't sure if he was actually striking that or if he was looking to see if he could find 15 Luke Mort running on, but he also had Matt Bailey on the backside.
Thought he just missed it. His reaction suggesting that is the case. Could get another chance, though. Regardless, Sari, of what kind of schedule the college soccer world decides upon, hopefully by the time these teams are ready to resume summer training and get ready for the fall season, really ramping up in August. Hopefully, the world is some level of normalcy. Vaccinations will be ubiquitous, and we don't have any more COVID protocol causing missed games, cancellations, and, you know, the disparate number of games that all these teams have played, just such different seasons. And it's cool to have a championship event, but you know, you want a relatively uniform regular season. That was certainly not the case across the country. Meanwhile, the defense.
Bastion Hatcher making a late game effort.
Yeah.
But closed in by the Panther defense. Yeah, I mean, you look at around the country and just the teams. You know, there's certain Division III teams that didn't have seasons.
Long range shot. A little bit high.
And then even Division II schools and conferences that chose not to play the entire year and really only had a true spring season. You know, that what we have to think about is just, you know, you look at the support staff of these universities, and it's sort of the unsung heroes of athletics, or the sports information staff that not only covers, you know, one sport or two sports in the fall, but is doubled up and has 4 or 6 sports. And the equipment manager, I can remember talking to the Wake equipment manager just about the schedule of everybody playing, and they don't necessarily have a tremendous number of sports there. But I think it's been, you know, the universities and how they've been able to adjust and adapt to get seasons in is incredible. And so you want to shout out to them as well.
Speaking of Wake Forest, Coastal Carolina has scored again. They're within 1. It's 3-2 with about 8 minutes to play from Spry Stadium.
Well, we said that was going to be a battle, and it was not a gimme for Wake Forest with that matchup there. Air Force is tied 1-1 now with Seton Hall in the 87th minute.
Extra time might be required. We saw extra time in our middle game today with Virginia Tech getting another header from Jacob Labovitz to advance over Oregon State in just a really high-level match.
In the final seconds of that first overtime, yeah. I mean, just a
great game.
Tremendous game.
Don't think extra time will be required in this one.
Yeah. And another stoppage of clock.
Been the theme of the day.
Appreciate the ball runner on the backside there, fetching that shot from Gomez out of South Carolina for us.
The ball boys have had their full workload today, chasing balls down over the fence into the woods.
Once again, we want to send a thank you out to the NC Fusion Triad Soccer Club for the staff and creating this event, and also their host university, Catawba College, down in Salisbury, North Carolina. Just a tremendous effort by the club staff and really the city of Greensboro to get this event off, hosting 8 matches in 6 days. The field's been maintained, watering in between games and at halftime.
7 different men's teams and 6 different women's teams, I believe, playing at Bryant Park this week, and that's not even mentioning the others that played over at UNC Greensboro.
Yeah, a fantastic effort by the city, the Sports Foundation, and really the CVB. I mean, just the sheer number of things they had to do with.
Oh, that's not okay.
And Gomez rushes over to try and help. I believe that's Bryce Washington.
Yeah, he attempted the bicycle and caught Washington in the face, and hopefully Bryce will pop up and be all right.
But immediately he was the first one on the scene to check on Washington, and the number of players, there was a lot of traffic there to attempt that.
We're going to take a look at this VAR style to see if it's worthy of a yellow or a red card. And I very much hope that the mention of Julian Valentin getting a cleat to the face did not
Good job, Evan.
jinx
Good job.
the situation here for Mr. Washington.
And you see a bounce. It's off of Walty. Oswald plays it in, flicked on by number 11, and it actually looks like he caught him. He catch him on the outside of his face. At first, it looked like he caught him underneath, but I think it was on his right.
He caught him in the face.
Right side of his face.
And he's got a red card in his hand. Official does, and he's looking for Julian Gomez, and he's going to send him off 3 minutes and 47 seconds early. He does show good sportsmanship, shaking Ordonez's hand, and good news is Washington's jogging off and not covered in gauze, and doesn't appear to be bleeding. And hopefully he'll be all right for Thursday.
And I got to tell you, if I'm getting a red card in the NCAA tournament, I definitely love the story that I was in front of goal and I was attempting a bicycle kick and it was an errant foot to the face, as opposed to it was the 13th minute of my game and I was just coming in late on somebody. But a great play here by Monmouth to keep the ball alive in the box. And you just see Julian Gomez trying to do whatever he can to get the ball in, and hits the side of the face of the tall center back, Bryce Washington. And Washington's already up and about to come in, so fully recovered.
Hugh McDonald having a word with the fourth referee on the sideline, pleading his case. Let me ask you a hypothetical question. Let's just say Gomez had gotten the ball and then gotten Washington in the face. Would there still be a penalty?
Ooh, that's an interesting scenario. So it would be the follow through. So like he was swinging, hits the ball with his right, and his left gets him. Is that still a dangerous play
if you get the ball there?
It's still a high kick in that situation with there's people around you. So yeah, it would still be a foul, I believe.
Makes sense.
It's the fact that it's in traffic like that, right? So it's not so much did he get the ball versus didn't he. I'm not sure if it was worthy of the red, but
this stage of the game, yeah. The fact that he immediately went over to Washington to see if he was okay, and Washington's coming back out there, so it's not like the Pittsburgh players were all attacking Julian Gomez, but here comes Pittsburgh again, trying to stretch the lead back to 5. And that hit the post.
Akampiki able to get a head on it.
Beautiful header from Bailey to put it to that top corner.
Bailey's definitely been a spark off of the bench. We talk about, the number of international players at Pitt, but Matt Bailey, the senior, is a transfer in from UMBC from Maryland. So a little bit of American flavor here off of the bench for the Panthers.
Sari Seton Hall scores in the final minutes. No extra time required. Pirates win it 2-1 over Air Force. And we're going to get a penalty here. Yeah. With 2:49 officially remaining, Pittsburgh's going to get a PK. It looks like Ordonez is charging up and said, I'll take this one, guys.
Well, Ordonez, he's 16 games. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists, including 3 game winners.
Ordonez trotting over to Jay Vidovich with the ball.
Oh, that's Bryce Washington trotting over to the ball. Caught me looking the other way, feeding me the wrong numbers. Washington's like, I took this in the face. I'm going to get my second goal tonight.
Oh, no, he's going to give the ball off to Sito Sena. That's cool. So Sena,
the senior,
looking for his first goal of the season and just his 6th appearance. Cool opportunity. Sena puts it in to the delight of the Panthers sideline. And the celebration for Pittsburgh can begin a 6-goal barrage here in their tournament opener to dispatch Monmouth.
Well, I got to tell you, I love the fact that Bryce Washington grabs the ball. I'm not letting anybody else take this ball. Runs over to coach and says, hey, we got a senior here. He hasn't scored. I want to give him the opportunity. And so, you know, once again, you talk about the character of players and the culture and the teamwork, and that's just a fantastic example of those things and how these men are out here, you know, grinding it out but can think about each other. And they're going to have to restart this kickoff because the Panthers jumped the gun.
Sena has scored before. This is his 5th career goal, but his first of this season.
And the Panthers aren't backing down at all in these final 3.5 minutes. And
first goal for Sena since September of 2019, and another card issued.
That's just frustration right there by the substitute, number 26, Declan McStrakvik. Keensburg, New Jersey, 15 minutes from my house. Famous for their water park. He's also a transfer in from St. John's, and you see just full-on elbow into the back, and, you know, once again, not sure that's necessary, but the clock's still running, and so the referee is going to let this one play out.
Should we know anything more about this water park? I'm intrigued.
It's in Keensburg. That's about it.
Sounds lovely.
It's kind of like an Emerald Point-ish, but maybe smaller.
For those of you who know what Emerald Point is, that's helpful information.
Emerald Point is a small water park in the Greensboro area. I may not know my golfers, but I know my water parks. And Akampike coming in late, but
over the bar on the blast from Luke Mort. All right,
and number 3, Rafael Crivello, holding his ankle there on that late tackle.
We'll wrap it up with some Pittsburgh conversation, but first, give me 20 seconds on Monmouth, your impressions of this program that we've seen over the past 4 days.
Well, I think they've showed tremendous heart and grit, but it hasn't just been all about the heart and grit. We've seen them get into the attack, be dangerous, nice build-ups out wide. So I think once again, they've showed tremendous effort here, and I think the fact that they've got a number of players returning bodes well for the future of the Monmouth Hawks. Once again, a fairly young team, and so I think Coach Rob McCourt and Coach Hugh McDonald have to be very happy with what they've produced this year.
Certainly a win on Thursday that will bind this team together emotionally forever, and Hugh McDonald will never forget that. Neither will Rob McCourt. But the run for the Hawks comes to an end at the hands of the Pitt Panthers, the 2 seed from Western PA, moving on to the Sweet 16 in the 2020 men's tournament. A 6-1 demolition over Monmouth tonight.
Just a fantastic effort. You know, early on we saw Monmouth was pressing and was pretty dangerous putting it to the Panthers, but then we saw the Panthers settle in. They're able to knock a ball around. They're able to unbalance the defense, find spaces, and then once they got that one goal, it was 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6.
So Pittsburgh moving on. They'll take on the Knights of Central Florida in the Sweet 16 on Thursday at Wake Med Soccer Park in Cary, North Carolina. Again, the goal scorers for Pittsburgh, Noel, Washington, Dexter. There was an own goal involved. Rodrigo Almeida scored. Cito Sena put in the final score for the Panthers. And a 6-1 win, certainly a comfortable victory for Jay Vidovich's team as they will stay in North Carolina, enjoy another few days at minimum under the sun here in the Tar Heel State, and get ready for the Knights on Thursday. Sari Rose, it has been a pleasure. And I don't know if we'll ever have a day like this or a week like this ever again with a tournament here in North Carolina, but I hope we do.
Yeah, 7 out of 8 games, 6 out of 8 games, I guess, we were able to do together. Had to take a break for my daughter's match, but we appreciate the work here of not only the facility here at Bryan Park, the Greensboro Sports Foundation and the CVB here who did a tremendous effort. Kudos out to NC Fusion and the tournament director, Gary Gartner, the people at Turbo Sports, and also Catawba College for helping to host, and just everybody that made this amazing event possible.
And thanks to all you for staying up late with us on this Sunday night. Pittsburgh season continues on Thursday. Monmouth, their Cinderella run comes to a close after 5 straight wins. And we'll call it a night for our entire crew at Turbo Sports. Thanks to you for Sari Rose. I'm Evan Lepler. The soccer continues from Cary, starting on Wednesday with the women and Thursday with the men. For now, we say good night from Greensboro. Pittsburgh over Monmouth, 6-1 the final.